Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. This is our next up edition where we talk to future Army football players, 2021 commits, and tonight we have Blane Cleaver of Berwick, PA, and we have Michael Carniauskas of Catholic High School in Louisiana, and we're going to talk about their path to they're starting their path to West Point. And guys, if you want to follow us, we're on podcasts everywhere. You can rate, subscribe, and review our podcasts, and we're also live on YouTube too. So first off, Blane and Mike, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I was talking earlier to Blane about how every Army football player and every West Point cadet almost has their own story to tell on their path and their road to West Point. And I just think that this Next Up podcast is a good way to, introduce you guys to Army football fans and also the West Point community. First, Blane, just talk about how your recruitment started with Army, how you first became interested in them, and how they first became interested in you.
The process goes way back. I actually have a pretty good connection with Coach Vitti. He actually went through the same high school program as I'm currently going through. It's always been a pretty unique situation, just kind of knowing a coach at that level from him going through the actual academy into coaching. So we've also always had like that close personal connection with West Point. And then just progressively as my high school career went on, I started talking to coaches like Coach Vitti, Coach Luce, and Coach Wood. And then the relationships kind of just grew from the end of my sophomore year to current. And it started off with just simple like fan mail, like, hey, how you doing? And then it currently is like to almost like every other day call. How's your family? How is your family coach? And just kind of more of a personal situation for everyone.
Mike, how did it first start for you, your interest and their interest?
It was always kind of one of my target schools, I guess you could say, is someplace that I was really interested in because of the academic side. And then obviously they've been really good at football the past couple of years. I got two teammates, former teammates currently up there. Chris Cameron, who's going to be a senior next year, and then Connor Finucane, who's going to be a sophomore. And kind of like Blane was saying, the relationships I've built with the coaching staff up there, as well as having a couple guys up there, has kind of gone into my decision and feeling right to have them up there.
Gotcha. Blane, how do you come down to the decision? What determines you? What were the factors that leads to you, going to West Point when it came down to it? When did you find? Was it there a current, like, was there a situation where you decided, hey, this is the school for me? And did you have other options, or talk us through that?
I had a couple options. It kind of was a hectic time with recruitment just due to the pandemic. Recruit trips were canceled. Obviously, the dead period was extended. So it was definitely a difficult time to make a decision. But I think the thing that stayed true in my heart was West Point was the first college program to give me the opportunity of playing football at the next level, which always was really a deal break, like a good deal for me. It always kind of rang a bell in my head that, hey, this was the first program and coaching staff that saw potential in me being part of their program, which was also a very special thing from the start. And then obviously just getting to know the coaches more from a personal standpoint, from Coach Luce to Coach Vitti, Coach Woody, Coach Wood, and everyone, recruiting staff, even to the commuters and just the overall Army nation. I came into contact with alumni, which is always a very cool thing to do. There's some very big names out there that kind of influenced my decision. And then always at the top of the list, football only lasts for so long. And I think the academics at West Point really did it in for me.
Yeah, Mike, what was in your final decision? What influenced your final decision? What made you commit to Army?
Right. Yeah, I was always looking for a place to call home, a place where I could better myself academically, and then a good football program. And West Point checked all the boxes on all of those. And it's really just a place, like, yeah, it's far from where I live, but it's a place that I feel like I can go up there and fit in well and be comfortable.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet, but your dad, Chris, is a West Point grad. And I know that this decision was, totally yours. But you had been at West Point before. Like, I know with the recruiting during the pandemic, there's recruits that haven't been able to attend the campus. What can you tell them about the campus, and what impressed you about the campus when you've been there?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was mind-boggling going up there and seeing the campus is really like nothing else, any other college campus I've ever seen before. Like really, truly spectacular, and the football facilities are really nice as well.
Blaine, have you had a chance to visit West Point, or have you done virtual meetings there to see what West Point's all about?
I was actually at West Point right before COVID hit real hard in the United States. Like Mike said, it's very mind-boggling. Everywhere from the statues, the trophy point, to even the overlooking the Hudson, everything about just the location of West Point is really true in history, and it has a very special place, and not just like players, community, but like everyone. West Point's a very special place, and it's basically why our nation is what it is today.
Yeah, you look at Army recruiting in general, it's a national program, right? It's not a regional program. You look at Mike from Louisiana, yourself from Pennsylvania. I think this recruiting class at the moment has commits from 27 different states, which is crazy, more than half of the country. I wanted to talk a little bit about your guys' football season, your senior year. I know with COVID, some states were able to play football, some states are still waiting to play football. I know, Blaine, in Pennsylvania, where you were able to play, right?
Yes, we were able to play this past season.
What was that like? That like going through that your senior year?
The whole situation was obviously a bit different from what we're normal to. Everything from just traveling on the buses and having to stay socially distanced. And for a while, we actually had to wear masks at our practices, and they couldn't be mandatory, and they were actually optional. Getting in the weight room was a real big problem with just being indoors and the limit of gatherings. And then progressively, even as the season went on, game cancellations, no fans was definitely a different thing. Just looking around, seeing people with masks on, not being able to talk to your coaches close and personal. You have to pull down your mask. Or even some places, masks were mandatory at all times. We had to wear them warming up and stuff. So it was definitely a different situation.
How many games were you able to play this year? And how do you think that you got, did you feel that, because I know, like I said, some states weren't able to play. Did you feel like you got in your, were you happy that you were able to get in some sort of a senior season this year?
Definitely. I know even just the underclassmen are really excited about just getting a few games in, because we were always looking at the worst possible, hope for the best, and be ready for the worst was our motto. And we were ready for just them just completely shutting down everything, football in general, not just in Pennsylvania, but all over the place. And unfortunately, some states didn't get to play this year, so we were the fortunate ones. But really, it was awesome. We got in 6 games. Usually at our high school program, we're getting into 13, 14, 15 games in a season, but it was definitely a different feeling. But just honestly, getting out in the field with your teammates and coaches was a very special thing.
Mike, how about your senior season? How did it go for you?
Yeah, so preseason, like a preseason schedule had us playing a couple teams. Like we had IMG was on the schedule, and a couple other really big games like that. Those got canceled, which kind of was tough. But we ended up at the end of it losing, I think, 2 games off the front of the schedules, like week 1 and week 2. Picked up from there. I think we finished playing 11, 12 games maybe. We got lucky enough and made it all the way to state and ended up winning it. So that was fun. And kind of like Blaine was saying, we had our COVID restrictions all summer about how much we could lift, like our lifting groups, wearing masks at practice, and all that. So it's definitely a different situation than previous years, but happy we got to get it done.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the connections you guys have made at West Point or have at West Point. And Blaine, you talked about your connection with Coach Mike Vitti, fullbacks coach, former Army football captain. It goes way back. Can you just discuss that relationship that you have with Coach Vitti?
My relationship with Coach Vitti actually goes way back into when he was in high school. My dad was the coaching staff at Berwick, currently the high school that I'm enrolled at. I was actually the water boy, so I got to know Coach Vitti from a very young age, and it was a very cool experience watching him grow up, not just only through high school, but watching him become the man he is today, and almost kind of like a undershadow of what he has become nowadays. It was always kind of a role model for me growing up, watching the way he led his team in high school, and then going through the academy and the things he accomplished there, and then becoming part of the coaching staff was a very special thing to see.
Do you become an Army football fan at some point following him or no?
Yeah, definitely. From a young age, Army was also very, very special place in our heart, not just for our family, but our community. It always bleeds black and gold.
Nice. Mike, you talked about having Chris Cameron and Connor Finucane there. I mean, those are guys. well, Connor, you probably played with in high school, right? Did you play with Chris also, or?
No, so since Chris went to the prep school, he graduated when I was in 8th grade. So when I was coming in, he was leaving. But since he went to Catholic, it's like we're all really close. So I knew him when I was going in and kind of talked to him from that and built that relationship. But I got to play with Finucane for 3 years.
How much do you kind of, how much did you ask them a lot of questions about West Point, or how much do you talk about like life outside of football at West Point with them to ensure your decision?
Right, yeah. Like, so when I was really like making my decision, I kind of was more into talking about not just what is football like, but what is it like being a cadet? What is the day-to-day life like? What's school like? All those kind of questions that they were both just able to give their own personal insight and just kind of tell me about how they like it, what they don't like. And they're both absolutely loving it up there. So that made me feel pretty comfortable about my decision.
Yeah, how much for both of you guys? How much, Mike? Your dad, West Point grad, served also. How much is the service part of this involved in the equation of committing and just embracing that, so to speak? Even though you're still in high school, but knowing that when you do graduate West Point, yeah, you'll be an officer in the Army, and you'll also, yes, you'll have a job, and you'll also have active duty service that you're required to do.
So I'll start. Just kind of knowing that from the beginning was always a pretty cool thing. Not many people graduate from college knowing that there's a job ready for them as soon as they step off the college campus, which is always a very good thing to start off. Many people just leave college and they don't know what to do with themselves. Whereas West Point, everything's laid out for you. You set your own foundation. You just go off of that. You can do anything you want with the academic you have under your belt, along with just everything you develop, relationships, even your faculty that you go through at West Point. Everything, those connections you make are life lasting, and you really just can go anywhere with that from West Point.
Yeah, I think it was always something that I felt calling to do, serving in the military after. Like, even if I didn't end up going to West Point, it probably would have still been something I chose to do when I got out. So I've always looked forward to that, just because of, especially like through football, you learn that camaraderie, building brotherhood with a lot of guys and get really close to them and leading them through tough times and all that. So, I mean, I think it's really it's going to be a good opportunity to grow and kind of see what I'm made of. So I'm looking forward to it.
You guys will both are defensive recruits. You'll be joining a unit that was ranked number 1 in the country in yards allowed this year. I mean, a group that has a lot of people returning for next year. It's got to be exciting to watch the team this year, especially what they did on the defensive end, and think that you're going to be a part of it very soon, right? I mean, how much? What was that like watching the team this year and knowing that you're going to be a part of a top-rated defense?
Michael, you could get this one first if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so I mean, I was tuned into most of the games, watching from home, and I mean, you could tell it was a special group. It looked like they were having a ton of fun out there, just flying around, being ultra physical. Then having that new defensive coordinator coming in this year, really kind of you saw a change in the program, and really looked like a step up, getting a bunch of turnovers and just getting after it every week. It was very fun to watch, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
I know personally, watching the games with my family and friends, just being able to be a part of it, obviously not in person, but at home, being able to interact with coaches after the game, players, even building relationships with some of the players that are actually unfortunately graduating this year, and just the footprint that they're leaving on the program. They basically set it to what the standard should be from here on out. And the only way I think to go is up from this standpoint on. I think we're bringing in a really good group, and not only the group that's still there, I think we're going to be really dynamic next year and the years to come.
Yeah, you look at a CIC champions this year, right? And it is still a coronavirus pandemic. We don't know, but when it will happen. But that means a trip to the White House. A team that's something that is not a lot of people get. Something special, and I think that's something, like you said, Blane and Mike, just about what they got going on there is something that seems like it's going to be a lasting thing, especially on the defensive level. What do you think about just the traditions of Army football with, the flyovers, the CIC trophies, and, the trips to the White House possibly, and the success they've had going to bowl games too. So how much did that play a part in your decision about going to West Point?
I think overall it's the best setting in college football. Many people say that, like, the overall feeling when you go to a West Point game is comparable to no others. Like you said, the flyover, flying in the game ball for the Army-Navy game, and then obviously the Army-Navy game is the biggest game in the nation every year. But just having a game at Mikey is what many people say nothing like anything they've ever seen, from everything, the fans, the cadets behind each sideline, just cheering everyone on, just that overall brotherhood on the field. It's very powerful, and you can see it translate onto the field.
Mike, have you been to a game at Mikey Stadium live, or have you seen a game live at Mikey Stadium?
I have not. I've never been able to make that trip up there during the season because we're always playing. So,
what do you think about just the traditions there and how it, like Blane said it, Army-Navy rivalry is one of the best in college football, no doubt.
Yeah, no, it's an unbelievable atmosphere from what I've seen, and just a place that's going to be a ton of fun to play at. And I mean, that wasn't the biggest part going into my decision, obviously, but I wanted a place that it was going to be fun to play at, not a place that you'd have to kind of go into the game knowing, hey, not that many people are going to be going to the game. Like a place where a ton of people are going to kind of show up and really support you and be all in. Definitely Mikey is an experience like no other, so definitely going to be a fun time.
I think both of you signed your certificate of commitment in December. A couple more commits are going to be signing in a few weeks in February, actually pretty soon in February. What are you guys up to now? Like, Blane, I know you had a basketball game that you were going to play in tonight. I mean, are you a multiple sport athlete, and what do you have planned for the rest of your senior year?
I've actually, throughout high school, played a lot of sports. Football and basketball is always my main sport. Played baseball for a while, and a lot of people actually said that was my best sport, which was unfortunately I ended up stopped playing due to football, just kind of the time restraints and everything. And I think this spring I'm actually going to do track and field or baseball again. And right now, just currently lifting, working hard in the gym, and then just conditioning, spending a lot of time with the family before I actually head up to West Point and continue the rest of my career.
Gotcha. How about you, Mike? What are you up to right now?
Yeah, right now I had surgery on my knee 2 Fridays ago, so most of my time leading up is going to be recovering on that. I'm going to have a little bit right before I kind of have to head up there to kind of get back in shape and start lifting again, but that's my main focus right now is getting healthy.
Were you just a football player at Catholic, or did you play other sports?
Yeah, so we're a pretty big school. Like we had 130 something on the team this year. So playing multiple sports is pretty competitive. I played baseball as a freshman and wasn't bad, but it didn't really end up working out for me. And then I just stuck to football, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah. What can you? In closing, what can both of you say to the Army fans about what type of player Army will be getting when you guys come to West Point this fall?
Personally, I just think that I embody everything that West Point says that their players do. You're going to get someone that flies to the ball, knows for the ball, and just hard hitting, physical, and just ready to battle every play. And just knowing that I'll be working just as hard as the brothers behind me and in front of me, and that we're going to get it done every Saturday.
Yeah, Blane said it pretty good. Hard working, just like loves to fly around, hit, be ultra physical, and do it for the guy next to you. So you said it pretty good.
Is there something about this Army defense that attracts? Is that what attracts both of you guys to be playing in this defense? How it seems like they do fly to the ball. There is a lot of you have your assignments, but it seems like there's a lot of freedom to create on defense a lot in Coach Woody's system. Did that attract you guys?
Definitely. I know I made a pretty good connection with former linebacker John Radigan, who's had an excellent senior season, and it's probably going to make a career at the next level after his play this year. I just love the way that Coach Woody runs the defense. Personally, from a linebacker standpoint, the blitz packages, he's very aggressive DC, and I love to see that. And just overall, like the mentality of the defense that no matter who they're playing against, could be Alabama or a team that no one's ever heard against, they're going to put their heart out every play and they're going to get it done.
Yeah, you could definitely see Coach Woody coming in and being ultra aggressive. A lot of blitz packages this year, and it's been fun to see what they've been doing on the back end with Quell and Cedric Cunningham. I've talked to those guys a couple times, and they had a hell of a season this year. And it was really fun. Like, when you watch that defense, you can tell that, hey, they're flying around and they're selling out for the ball. And that's definitely I loved seeing that when I was tuning in and watching.
No doubt. Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us a little bit about your recruitment and your excitement, I guess, to go to West Point soon. I mean, it's going to be right around the corner. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we get out of here about, yourselves or just the process in general?
Yeah, I'm good. I would just like to thank everyone. Thank you guys for sharing your time, especially you, Mike. I'm really looking forward to get a chance to play with you. It's going to be something special.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining us on the Next Up podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Black Knight Nation podcast with your host, Sal Interdonato. For more information on your Army Black Knights, visit BlackKnightNation.com. And be sure to subscribe, follow, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app.